Hey, so let me tell you quickly what we'll be doing, what we'll be discussing in this video. In the last video, I have talked about what is shell and the tool that will help us to give us the shell. And we talk about there were two kind of different shell. One is the reverse shell and the other is bind shell. So this is what we'll be talking in today's video. If you have not watched the first video, go check it out. Now, in this video, if you don't know about the reverse shell and bind shell, or if you have not heard about if there are there are different kind of shells. One is the reverse shell and another is the bind shell. So let's start from the reverse shell first, and then we'll move into the bind shell, and then we'll see what we're gonna cover in any of these. Okay, so we covered this module, then this one, and right now we'll be doing this. Let's start from the reverse shell. So reverse shell basically is you somehow call the target machine to call your machine. Like you start listening on specific port on your target on your attacker machine, and you just kind of some execute something or run some kind of command in the attacker machine. I mean in the target machine, and you when you run the command or execute the program, it just kind of connect to your attacker machine. So what actually is happening is that you are trying to make a connection from the attacker from the target machine to your attacker machine, right? So assume this is your attacker machine. This is where you will be controlling the target machine, the compromised machine that you will be doing stuff on. So you start listening on this specific port. Let's say this port. Okay, you can just start listening on any port, but make sure that is not already being in use. And you just kind of run a payload, and that payload connects to our attacker machine. And we receive the shell, and once we receive the shell, based on the privileges, we will be able to do whatever we can. Right here, you see the example. Imagine you plant a phone in someone's home or someone's computer or someone's device. When they trigger it, when they click on it, when they execute it, it auto dials your number. Like you specify the your IP of your attacker machine and then the port. So whenever it gets triggered, it just kind of connect to your machine. So this is what reverse shell is. So earlier I said we start listening on a specific port. Listening means that open a port, whatever port, okay. So open a port 443 in this example and wait for a connection. So there's attacker machine waiting for a connection to make a connection to establish a connection with someone who wants to connect with this guy with this machine, and we just kind of plant our payload on the target machine and we trigger it, and it just kind of make a call and connects to it, right? So this is how we actually start listening on any port on our attacker machine when we want a reverse shell. So this is the netcat command, netcat tool basically, and then these are different flags. One is the L, another is the V, another N and P. We'll just talk about what these are, and then we want to start listening on this specific port. And right here, one of the important thing here is that we are using sudo with this command. What this means is, actually, if you know about or no, but there are like 65,000 around 65,000 ports. So if you try to specify a port that is under 1,000, it will basically need the root permission. Ports below 1024 like this one needs root permission to listen on. These are high priority ports, and if you use about these number, it won't need the sudo or admin or the root permission, right? So this is why you are using the sudo. This is the tool, the netcat tool, that will help us to get the reverse shell. Yep, and let's talk about these flag, different kind of flag. One is the L flag. So we type the hyphen L means just listen mode, don't connect to anything, wait for something to connect with you. So this is the listening mode. V is the word pause, show me what's happening, connection received. So whenever we get the connection, it will just tell us, yep, we have got the connection, this connection is established. And hyphen M, the end flag is no DNS, don't waste time looking up host name, work with raw IPs. So simply it means whatever IP we have specified in our payload, it just connect to that. Don't do any other thing. Don't waste the time. Just connect to that IP that we have specified in our payload. And this is hyphen p. The hyphen p listen on port. Here we specify the port we want to listen on. So together it just like start listening on this specific port. We specify this with p, and purpose is show what is happening, and n is just connect to the IP that is specified in the payload. So that's that. And so right here now we will talk about what actually happens on the target machine that we are trying to get the reverse shell from. This is again the netcat command, that netcat tool that we will execute on the target machine. Here we will use the NC and then specify the IP of our attacker machine actually. So this is where we want to get connection to get established, and this is the port we specified over here that we started listening on. And hyphen e means execute basically. So execute what we specify the path of the file or anything that we want to execute. So here this is the shell base shell. So this will just kind of connect to this guy, this IP with this port on this port, and after the connection it will execute bash. So this machine will basically get the reward shell. So when the target run that command, your listening goes from waiting to connected. It will show that yep, we have got the connection from the target machine, and we now have the shell, and whatever we can do whatever we want based on the permission or like who ran the command. So this is the reverse shell. Now let's talk about the bind shell. I hope you understood the reverse shell. If you have not, let me just quickly tell you, okay? I hope you understood already, but this is our attacker machine, our machine that we use as a hacker, and this is another user machine that we want to hack, okay? So we will first of all get the IP of this machine, whatever IP this machine has, and once you got the IP, we'll remember it or just store it somewhere. And what we will do next is we will create a payload. Payload means like a virus or anything that will get executed on this machine. So in that payload, we will just kind of put that specific IP of this machine and also the port number. Port number, okay. So we got the payload ready. Now we will transfer the payload over here, or the file, the malicious file over here on this machine. Once it gets here, we will start listening on this machine on a specific port. Like I told you, this is what we'll be using to start listening on, and make sure to use the same port that we specify in the payload, right? So we start listening on this, and we have the payload over here. When this user click on that malicious file or whatever that is, that will connect to this guy using this machine IP and the port, and we will get the shell. Now let's talk about the bind shell. Hope you understood the reverse shell. So reverse shell is like the opposite. You call the target instead of the target calling you. You call the target. The target sets up a listener, a shell that open and waiting. You then connect to it from your machine. So this is very same thing, but a kind of the opposite thing. We start listening on our attacker machine, the machine that we will be using as a hacker, and now we start listening on the actual target machine, the user machine that we want to hack or do stuff on it, and we'll try to connect to that target machine. So we will just run the netcat command, netcat tool again, and start listening on a specific port on a target machine, and then execute our cmd.exe or whatever we want, okay? So this is what we will be doing on this machine. And on our taker machine, we will use the netcat tool, specify the IP of the target machine, and then the port as well that we start listening on. So after that, we will get the bind shell. So this is like the target machine sets call, or we just call the target machine. So this is this, and let's see what we're gonna do next. So this is kind of the differentiation between both of these shell. Right here, this point is a bit important. Let me explain what this means, the firewall on the target. So let me actually do this like This is the attack. This is the use. This is the target machine that we want to hack or do stuff on. Let me actually write just target. Okay, and this is target machine. Let me make it a bit big, and then if we can, this is the wall. Okay, this is basically firewall, and this is another machine, our attacker machine. So I will just type the attacker like this. Let me move it to, yep, like this. So the point here is that the firewall usually find outbound allowed the reverse shell. So we execute in the reverse shell, we execute something on this machine, right? Means the connection that goes outside from the firewall is fine and is allowed, and also not checked because the connection is going from inside the machine, not outside. And in this case, in the bind shell, the requests are being sent from outside to the target computer. So the firewall is in the middle. The firewall checks the connection that is coming from somewhere, as the firewall checks if request is malicious or no. So this firewall will stand here, will check out, and if it is something else and come from some unusual place, the firewall might block it. So this is the point it means, and the rest is the most common in CTF, and sometimes we get the bind shell as well, but most common is the reverse shell. And now we have the different type of there are two modes of a shell that we can work, and this affect what we can do with it and what we cannot, right? So first we have the interactive shell, and another is the non-interactive shell. Let me actually explain it with this example. Interactive shell is basically we type something, it respond, we read, and we type again, like back and forth, like a conversation. And non-interactive shell means command just run and finish. No, there is no kind of waiting, and we just type and the thing just finish, and there is no any further response. Okay, so this is the example I'm gonna give you. Interactive is like you are on a phone call. You say something, the another person also responds. You say something back, and then the person says something back again, like back and forth. You say something, that guy says something else. This is interactive. Non-interactive is like you send an email, you send a command message, it processes, it's done, it just do the work, and you don't get anything back. So this is non-interactive. Now let's understand with the SSH example. Let's say you try to connect with the SSH. So you type the SSH and then the user and then the IP, and it will ask you, the server will ask you, are you sure you want to connect to the SSH server or no? So you will have to type yes if you want to connect. So the server basically is communicating with you, is or kind of doing interaction with you. You type the yes and you just get the connection. So this is the interactive mode. Now the non-interactive mode will be like if you, let's say, in non-interactive shell, let's say if you try to run the same command to connect with the SSH server of SSH server, right? So you just type this over here, and the server responded if you are sure to connect with it or no. But there will not be anything because it's not interactive. Even if we type the yes, it won't do anything because we cannot answer it. The program is waiting for input, but the shell cannot pass your typing to the program. This is what the non-interactive shell is. So that's the simplest way we can understand the interactive and non-interactive shells. And this video right here. In the next video, we'll be talking about the netcat properly. We have used netcat already in the example above. uh, we'll understand properly the netcat. We just covered this reverse shell versus bind shell. Well, in the next video, I will talk about the netcat briefly, and then we'll move into these one by one. So if you have any question, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. See you soon.